since 1945. If you don't do what we tell you, you'll just be pulverized. We don't care what you think or what you say. The current U.S. leadership is extreme in this respect, but they are quite frankly and openly committed to the use of violence to control the world, and they say so. So, for example, when Prince Abdullah of Saudi Arabia was here a couple of weeks ago, he tried to persuade U.S. leaders to moderate their support for Israeli violence. And what Abdullah said is there's going to be an uprising in the Arab world. It would be really dangerous for your own interests, like oil. And then their reaction was interesting. I mean, he was dismissed, of course, but on interesting grounds. I mean, he was told, you know, it was reported in the New York Times, you can read it. He was told, what they said is, look, just take a look at what we did to Iraq during Desert Storm. Now we're 10 times that strong. If you want to see how strong, take a look at what we just did in Afghanistan. That's what it's for, to show you what can happen to you if you raise your head. So try to, if you don't do what we tell you, you'll just be pulverized. We don't care what you think or what you say. That's their attitude. And they say so, and it's evident in the actions. And that's not very good for the world, or for the people in the United States. There's kind of a background to this. If you read the same authors and many others, they explain further that there's good reason why we should be in favor of American hegemony. The reason is that history has a natural course, and the United States represents the realization of history's purpose. So I'm quoting, and therefore U.S. domination is kind of by logic beneficial to the rest of the world. If you think there's anything new about this, you haven't studied the right history courses. They're just repeating what was said by leading British intellectuals, people like John Stuart Mill and others, at the peak when Britain enjoyed its day in the sun. And the same is true of, I find the same among lesser aspirants for the prize. That's standard. Whoever you are, the leading intellectuals explain that you represent history's purpose and is therefore beneficial if you rule the world. Well, I'm going to stop. There's a lot more to say about all of this. These are some, not all, of the deep abysses into which we ought to be peering. The good side of the story, which there really is less need to talk about because we all know it and we don't have to congratulate ourselves on achievements, but there have been plenty of them. I mentioned that we're now commemorating the 40th anniversary of the attack on South Vietnam without any notice. The reason there's no notice is because there was no protest at that point in, say, Berkeley or anywhere else. Nobody cared if the United States was going to start bombing another country and attack it with chemical warfare. That's fine. That's what we do. No American president could conceivably do anything like that today. It took years at that time before any protest developed. Out of that protest and the parallel civil rights movement and other popular developments, big changes took place. One change that the changes that took place over the past 30 or 40 years have made the country a lot more civilized. There couldn't conceivably have been a meeting like this 40 years ago, or probably even 20 years ago. There's been a constant improvement. Places just a lot more civilized. It continues a historical course. I mean, there's been a long struggle to attain more rights, more democratic control, and it's continuing and probably accelerating. And it's a tendency running counter to the tendency towards destruction. And exactly which curve is going to move up faster will determine the fate of the species. That question is pretty much in the hands of people like you.